People think because they speak every single day that they'll be good at it. But that's not the case. You breathe every single day, but then people go to breathwork classes and workshops to learn how to breathe better. And the reason they go there is because they teach you with deliberate practice. Now, just by speaking, you're not going to get better at speaking. But by doing what I'm going to show you in this video, you will. Now, if you sound boring, we're going to go through the deliberate practice for that. If you feel like you run out of things to say and your mind goes blank and you freeze, we're going to do a deliberate practice for that. And number 3, if you feel like you mumble or you don't have much clarity in your speech, we are going to go through deliberate practices for that. But before I get into that, if you want to eliminate your weak communication and create more options to create deliberate practices, check out the link below that is completely free. Put your email in and over 30 days, I will give you 30 different ways that you can create deliberate practice. And you're not just speaking for the sake of speaking, hoping that you're going to improve, but you don't know what you want to improve in. Link below. Let's go into the first one. And I'm going to go get my Kindle for this one. 1 second. We are back. Now, you don't need a Kindle, you can get your phone. But what you do need is a passage of text. And I'm going to go through 3 ways that you can insert more energy into your voice so you sound more engaging. Because the reason that you sound boring is because you're not engaging. When something is the same, it's pretty monotonous. And now, a passage of text can fix that. And the reason we are getting text is so that you don't have to think. Because as soon as you have to think of what you are saying, you are taking the energy away from the technique you are trying to improve upon and focusing on what do I say next. So to take that out of the equation so we can fully concentrate on the techniques, we're going to get some text in front of us. Number 1, energy. You're going to put some energy into your speech. This will include your pitch. This will include your tonality. And the best way I like to describe this is imagine you are speaking or reading a bedtime story to a kid. If I read a story like this to a kid is not going to be engaged. They are not going to care. They're not going to care about the ending of the story because it is very boring. You will automatically add some more energy. So if you're going to read a book, imagine you're reading it to a kid. Try and overpronounce things that you wouldn't normally do. Use high pitch, use low pitch, use an excited tone, use a curious tone. But the main thing between this, do not stay the same. Mix it up. I could go into the ins and outs of when you should use a high pitch, when you should use a low pitch, but really it's not too complicated when I say read the book as if you're reading it to a child, because automatically you will just change your voice. Going on to the next one, and that is stressing. You want to stress syllables. When you stress a syllable, you make a spike in your volume. But not only that, it also highlights what you want the audience to focus on. So if you're reading, the average PowerPoint slide has 40 words. It's nearly impossible to find one slide in a TED presentation that contains anywhere near 40 words. Start stressing syllables, the start of a word, because then it's going to grab people's attention. When you spike your volume and stress a syllable, people feel more engaged because you are putting more energy. This then links with the previous point, putting energy into your speech. So before it's more about talking to a kid. Now it's about stressing certain words to grab attention because you are spiking. That is the reason it happens. Spike, spike, spike. If you keep it flat, they will not pay attention. And that moves me on to the next one. Pace. Pace is the speed, the cadence which you speak at. If something is really important, slow it down. If you want to build anticipation, speed it up. But this is where you've got your default level. You want to build anticipation, speed up, slow back down. You want to say something really important, slow down. Then go back to your default. Let's give an example. Her first research professor would tell her, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. For the next 2 minutes, as she spoke, Brown's audience saw only that sentence. The quote from her professor on the screen. She followed the slide with a picture of a baby's finger in the hands of her mother as she spoke about her study into interpersonal connections. Just change it up. So you have energy, stress, and pace. And what you can do is read one page working on your energy, one page working on your stress. Not your stress, but stressing the syllables. One page working on your pace, and then put it all together. And that will be a deliberate practice. If you want to sound more energetic, you want to engage the person listening to you instead of being, as I like to say, a boring cunt. Simple as that. On to the next one. If you freeze and you don't know what to say. Now, when I first started going to a martial arts gym and started holding pads, I would freeze. I would hit the bag completely fine. Completely fine. I could do combinations for days. But when it came to putting these on and holding pads for someone to hit it and calling combinations, I would not have a clue. And there was many others in the same boat. The coach there at the time gave us all a framework to follow. And if you've ever done martial arts and you've ever held pads, I guarantee you've been given this same framework that my coach gave me. And he would give me number one. Number one was a jab. Number two, jab cross. Number three, jab cross hook. And number four, jab cross hook cross. 4 combinations, that was it. And by giving me 4 combinations, it gave me a guide of what to say in the round. He gave me a framework, a very basic framework. And that framework allowed me to pad someone for 5 rounds and be completely fine. And I would just switch in between those 4 combinations. Now when you speak, you need to create some sort of framework as well, because it will give you a guide of what to say. If you're always freezing in a work situation and you don't know what to say, most likely you haven't got a guide. Now one that I like is PREP. Point, reason, example, point. You are going to give the point that you are on about. Make it simple, straight to the point. Again, in the word. Then give a reason for that point. Then give an example for that point. Then state that point again. Let's give an example. Now I've just done one, but I'm going to put it into one. You should have a framework when you speak. By having a framework, when you would used to freeze and not know what to say, you now have the ability to go off in tangents because you have a guide of where to go and where to go next. And by having that, it allows you to be calm and composed and know exactly what to say and when to say it, because it's methodical. You know what you're saying. An example for this is PREP. Point, reason, example, point. And that's the exact framework that I'm using right now. And that's why you should have a framework when you speak. Perfect example. Now that is one framework. There are other frameworks too, which you could use. What? So what? Now what? Problem? Solution? There's many, many others. So if you're freezing, try and think of a framework that links to the situation before you speak, and then use that framework to speak, because it will guide you where to go. It's like driving. If you had to drive from Scotland all the way down to France with no maps, you would struggle. Unless you're some sort of psychopath that knows the route, but you would struggle. You wouldn't really know where to go. But if you had maps, a guide to show you where you should go, you'd get to the final destination a lot easier. And it's the same with these frameworks. If you have a guide, you don't need to follow it to a T, but it can help you get to that final destination. Now the last one is clarity with your speech. I'm going to get my iPad for this because I do this every single morning. Let me put it on screen record now. Why is the screen record not working? There we are. To improve your clarity of speech, number 1, tongue twisters. I do these every single morning. Now for me, I struggle with the th. Because if you watched any of my videos from a year ago, you'd see me go th, thought, thing. Whereas now, I will go thought, thing. My tongue comes out. So I've started doing tongue twisters literally for THs and ths. I also do tongue twisters for W and R, because that's a another type of word that sometimes I may mumble on, which is why I've just got ChatGPT to write me some tongue twisters. So if we go up, here are a few. Rory threw 3 threads through the threshold. Rory threw 3 threads through the threshold. That is a deliberate practice that forces me to work on the THs. Now you can go on Google, type it in, tongue twisters, and just get a generic version of tongue twisters and try and overpronounce the tongue twisters. Because when I first saw tongue twisters, I thought you meant to speak them really quick, which you are meant to after you've practiced it for a long time. But if you want deliberate practice, do it slowly first and overpronounce all the mouth movements. Because the reason you're mumbling and you don't have clarity with what you are saying is because your articulators, your tongue, your lips, your mouth, it's not pronouncing the words correctly. They are being lazy. When these are being lazy, you won't be as clear. When they are being efficient and moving correctly, you will have clarity with your voice. So do them slow first. Rory threw 3 threads through the threshold. Then once you start getting it, that is when you can start speeding it up and get a little mouth workout for your jaw, your tongue, your lips. Start slow, then work it up. Literally, you could type it on Google, tongue twisters. If you do them for 10 minutes a day, you will get more clarity with your speech. But not only that, we can do a pen drill. I'm going to go back to my Kindle. Where is it? I'm going to put the pen in my mouth. I'm going to speak for 5 minutes. You can start with a minute if you want. Your jaw will start to get achy and you will sound a bit slow. Put it that way. All right, put the pen in your mouth. For example, Brown started her presentation with a personal history of her experience as a doctor student. Her first research professor. Try and overpronounce the words with the pen in your mouth. I didn't want to break this pen because it is an Apple pen, so I recommend getting a plastic pen so you can bite hard onto the pen. But this is going to force you to move those articulators as much as you can whilst it is blocked in your mouth. Now, the next one. You're going to stick your tongue out. Now, this one does hurt your jaw. I recommend doing this for a minute. Do a minute rounds. Do 2 1-minute rounds and see how you get on. But your tongue goes all the way out and then you're going to speak. These rumors were calculated about Brown's methods, content and structure. If Brown had forced them to read really fast, yes, you will sound a bit retarded. But that will force you to make these words correctly and form the shapes that your mouth needs to form to create these phonetic sounds. Now that is some deliberate practices for these goals. Deliberate practice is all around the goal. What is your goal? And then you can make your practice around it. That is how you create deliberate practice. I've gone through if you sound boring, if you don't know what to say, and if you mumble. There's many other goals in communication, but this is the most common one, or the common 3 that you'll go through. And like I said at the start of the video, if you want more types of deliberate practices, depending on your goal, there is a link below. Eliminate your weak communication. And over 30 days, I will send you 30 different ways that you can create this deliberate practice, because I'll go through different points to work on your communication. And if you like this video, you will probably like this one too. This will go through creating contrast, which will help if you are not an engaging speaker. And if that's you, you should probably watch this.